friction. To understand friction, let us consider the following example. Place the ball on the floor and push the ball to set it rolling. You will observe that the ball slows down after covering some distance and finally stops rolling and comes to a stop. Is there any force that acts on the ball and stops it? What is this force called? This force is known as friction and is always directed opposite to the direction of motion. Friction acts between two surfaces on contact, which can be solid, liquid, or gas. Friction can have many effects. Wear and tear. Compare the soles of a new pair of shoes with the ones that you have been wearing for some time. What causes the soles to wear out? The force of friction between the ground and the soles of your shoes wears out the soles. For example, parts of machines, tires of vehicles, etc. get worn due to the force of friction. Produces heat. When you rub your palms together, heat is produced. This is because friction produces heat. Advantages and disadvantages of friction. What would happen if there is no force of friction acting in the following scenarios? A ball is rolled on ground. You walk on a road. You apply brakes to your bicycle. Without friction, the ball will never stop. You will not be able to walk and the bicycle will not stop. If friction did not exist, there would be no grip between the surfaces. Hence, friction plays a very important role in our day-to-day life. Advantages of friction. Friction between a pen and paper enables you to write. Without friction, the pen will slip over the paper. Friction helps in fixing a nail onto a wall. A matchstick burns on striking a matchbox due to friction between the two surfaces. Friction between the feet and the ground enables you to walk. If there was no friction, you would slip as soon as you tried to walk. Buses, trucks, cars, etc. are able to move on the road due to the friction between the road and the tires. Disadvantages of friction. Friction causes wear and tear of surfaces and materials. For example, tires of buses, cars, trucks, etc. wear out due to the friction between them and the road. Soles of shoes wear out due to friction. Moving parts of machines such as screws and ball bearings need to be replaced as they too wear out due to friction. Friction between surfaces generates heat. You have seen this while rubbing your palms. However, generation of heat is not always useful. Various parts of machines get damaged due to the heat generated by friction and need to be replaced frequently. Lot of energy is wasted when a machine gets heated due to friction. Also, energy is wasted to overcome the force of friction while moving an object. Methods of increasing friction. Tires of vehicles are corrugated to increase the friction between them and the surface of the road. Increased friction provides tires a better grip on the road. Soles of shoes used by players have spikes on them. The spikes increase friction and provide a firm grip on the ground while playing. Kabaddi players rub sand on their hands to increase their grip. Soles of shoes are grooved to increase friction. This enables us to walk without slipping. Ways of reducing friction. Lubricants are substances that help to reduce friction in machines. Grease or oil is applied between the moving parts of machines to reduce friction. Ball bearings are used for rolling two surfaces over each other. Wheels are used for moving heavy suitcases and bags. Wheels offer less friction and hence make it easier to move heavy items. Streamlined shape of fish, boats, birds, aircrafts, etc. reduces friction and helps them to move in water and air easily. Methods of increasing and reducing friction. Have you noticed wrestlers and gymnasts applying some coarse substance in their hands? Why do soles of shoes and slippers have grooves? Why do players sprinkle powder on the carom board? It is either to increase or reduce friction. Friction can be increased or decreased according to the need, but only to a certain extent.
Does friction exist only between solid parts? Not necessarily. Friction is offered by fluids like air and water as well. And this force of friction due to fluids is referred to as a fluid friction. The friction we've seen between solid parts is referred to as dry friction. The major states of matter are solid, liquid and gas. And liquids and gases are generally referred to as fluids. Why are liquids and gases considered to be fluids? One common characteristic of fluids is that they have no fixed shape and can be easily deformed. Let's discuss a bit more about fluid friction in this lesson. Just like solids, fluids too exert a force of friction when objects move through them. Do you think air offers resistance? Doesn't seem intuitive, right? When I drop a stone from a particular height, it falls to the ground. Does air offer resistance here? Of course it does. What about water? Does it offer resistance? Yes, when the fish swim, they encounter fluid resistance from the water. The frictional force exerted by fluids is also referred to as drag. What does fluid friction depend on? Let's talk about the first obvious factor. It's the nature of the fluid. To understand this point, you just need to answer a simple question. An object moves from point A to B through air, and in the second case, a similar object travels from A to B through water. Which object do you think encounters more resistance? Clearly, it will be the water, right? Yes, more the thickness of the fluid, greater will be the frictional force acting on an object which moves through it. There's a term which describes a fluid's resistance to flow. It's called viscosity. So here we can say that the water is more viscous than air. Higher the viscosity, more will be the resistance offered by that fluid. Honey is more viscous than water, which is why it offers more friction than water. That was the first factor affecting fluid friction, the nature of the fluid. Can you think of any other factor? Another factor is the speed with which the object is traveling. Higher the speed of the object moving through a fluid, greater will be the frictional force acting on it. A vehicle traveling at 100 miles per hour will face more drag of air as compared to a similar vehicle traveling at 50 miles per hour. Apart from the nature of the fluid and the speed with which the object is traveling, is there any other factor on which fluid friction depends on? Yes, it also depends on the shape of the object. And it's really important that we understand this factor well. Have you ever thought about why aeroplanes are shaped like this? It could just have been a rectangular box flying in the air. How have the fish evolved to be shaped like this? Why are the ships designed to be given this shape? There's a reason for all this. They're given a streamlined shape to minimize the fluid friction. The shape of the aeroplane, if you notice, is like that of a bird. This process of giving an object a particular shape to decrease the fluid friction is known as streamlining. Streamlining the object can greatly reduce the resistance offered by the fluid. A car faces lesser friction from air as it has a streamlined shape. A bus, on the other hand, will face more air friction as it doesn't have a streamlined shape. So these were the different factors on which fluid friction depends. Nature of the fluid, the speed of the object flowing through the fluid, and the shape of the object.